Hi, good morning. I don't know what's going on with this morning here, but that's okay. I think this is gonna be a short one, but you know what? I've said that before and it goes extra long. This is a reflection on A Course in Miracles, lesson 9, because here I am on January 10th reflecting on yesterday's lesson, number 9. It says, I see nothing as it is now. This one was harder to connect with because it's like, it's not even giving you guidance really on what it's trying to do in our brains. I mean, it's all kind of the same stuff, like fresh perspective, like showing you that your thoughts really aren't meaning anything. They don't do anything. They aren't about anything. You don't even understand them, that whole thing. So it's like still along those lines, but there's like, it's harder to connect with it, like make the meaning, which this whole thing so far is about. Stop making meaning. I can't. I'm built that way. Yeah, it's like, I won't forever stop making meaning, I'm sure, when I'm all through 365 of these things, because I think it's just about finding your balance with making meaning. I feel like, there will be a healthy balance achieved. I won't be all like, what's that mean? I'll just be like, that's interesting. Yeah. I can't wait to be at the end of the year and look back at these first few. If I do, I probably won't care because I'll be like, it doesn't mean anything. Who cares what she said a year ago? Anyway, I see nothing as it is now. It even starts with, this idea obviously follows from the two preceding ones. Yeah, it does. Which were, like, my mind is preoccupied with past thoughts and I see only the past. And the prior one, even to that, was I am upset because I see something that is not there. Of course, they all are related. And today, yesterday's was, I see nothing as it is now. For example, I do not see this typewriter as it is now. Okay, this was written in like the 70s when, I learned on a typewriter. That's how old I am. I am from the 70s. I come from the 70s. I come from the 70s to bring you a message of, we used to have typewriters. I learned in high school on an electric typewriter. So, we had electricity in our typewriter that made it do other things. But the gist was still the same. It still had some clicky clackiness. And then when I got into the business world, like right out of high school, I got accepted into this program at like this Fortune 500 company that's like in the next town over here in the Midwest. In Peoria, Illinois. You might know what that is. Anyway, so I was working part-time there, going to school full-time in community college. And they had this program where you do both. And I went right into an office called Personnel Services. It was really human resources, but back then it was called Personnel Services. And it was under the umbrella of HR. But we did like day-to-day, working with the people, like putting stuff in their HR files, good stuff and not so good stuff, like you've been naughty, you get a warning. But working with like the payroll, they had me at 18 years old putting payroll stuff in the computer. Like, she's young, she can do computers, because computers were new then, and I worked with women who were 60 plus, 65 plus, maybe. Some of them weren't quite right around the 60 mark. And then 60 then was a lot older than 60 now. I'll just tell you that. Like, you've seen it, you've seen photos, thought patterns, like from the generations. Like, that really was different then. And here I come in at 18, and the next youngest person was probably 59. And they're like, give it to her, she'll do it. like the Mikey commercials from the 80s. Mikey will eat it. That shows I'm old too. So anyway, I got to do all the computer related stuff. So that set me off on this trajectory of like, man, computers, which I never really thought about that too much, but that really did influence the rest of my friggin' life, you know. And then the internet came around, and I was like, oh, I must be on that. What is it? It wasn't even really called the internet then. It was just called AOL. AOL was the internet. I know a lot of you won't understand if you're younger, but that was the Wild West. It was the Wild West. It took me west. That's another story. But then, like, then we got a new system. Like, these consultants came into the company and said, we're putting in a new HR system. You guys got to learn it. We're going to train you. And then all the ladies in my department were like, send Elizabeth to training. She's young. She'll do it. And then she can come back and tell us how to use it. Well, didn't that just set me off on becoming a friggin' software IT consultant, business consultant for 20 years? They planted those seeds deep. I just loved it. I loved like going off and learning the new thing, like systems, process, like this can do that and it does this and that, and it makes our jobs easier, a little harder at first, but then easier, and it's new and it looks better and it feels newer, and then I had to write the technical manual, like how to use this thing. So then I started doing technical writing and I loved it. Man, I was a nerd. And then I started to not love that as much years later. And then, like, I don't know, it just set me off. I forget how I even got on this. I see nothing as it is now. See, I'm just preoccupied with past thoughts and how it led to today. Like, we're on this path that we can't even predict. We cannot even predict it. So I feel like I'm gonna make it related because I love meaning. But it's like we can't predict where we're going. It's like when I look at today, when I am right now, and I try to look in the future, I can't even, like, I think I can see what's going to happen, what trajectory I'm on, but it's like I see nothing as it is now. I see nothing as it is now. Oh yeah, the typewriter. I do not see this typewriter as it is now. I do not see this book as it is now. I do not see this sweet, sweet Folgers as it is now. I think it's still too hot. No, it's getting there. So I just, like, I'm practicing it. I'm doing it. I don't get it entirely. Like, what's the underlying, I guess I just like the underlyingness of things. Like, let's dig deeper. Of course you know that about me and this intuitive reading stuff that I feel called to do. Of course I go deep. And so to sit here at the surface of I see nothing as it is now. I do not see this telephone as it is now. We don't even call it a telephone anymore. I do not see this arm as it is now. It does give that as an example. Arms are timeless, apparently. Arms are timeless. How profound is that? Arms are timeless. I do not see this coat rack as it is now. I do not see that door as it is now. I do not see that face as it is now. I see you, but I don't see you as you are now. Whoa. There's something to this. Did you hear that? So it's like, it says it is difficult for the untrained mind to believe that what it seems to picture is not there. There it is. That's the underlying meaning we're going towards. Like, when I'm picturing this little, like, book insert I'm using as a bookmark, like, it's not there. I just called it like an insert and a bookmark. Those are like how it's being used. But what is it really? What is this? What is it? What are you? I don't see you as you are now. Your piece of paper. Paper. What's paper? They're just word noises, mouth sounds. Paper. 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 You know when you, I gotta look up the word for this, but you know when you say a word too much and you're like, that sounds weird. What is that? I'm an alien. I've never heard that word before. It's another language. Paper, 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 view. See, that's a different meaning, but it's the same mouth sounds. Paper, 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 paper. God, that's weird. Paper. Pepper, 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 pepper. Sounds like pepper. Pepper, 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 pepper. Just mouth sounds. Doesn't mean anything. And put you right back there, even though you don't mean anything. Because I don't want to lose my page. Man, it's weird stuff. Or maybe I'm just making it weird. Either way, that was a semi-reflection on the 9th lesson in A Course in Miracles. And I just want to say, like, this is like part reflection, part journal, I guess. I just found out about the wildfires in Southern California, and I'm in like a black hole of news since like for years now. Like I had to go there. You know when you have to like go cold turkey on something till you can find your healthy center on like what's your balance? What's your balance on things? And for the news, that's me. I had to do that. Like back in the day when I lived in LA, and I think that's why I'm feeling like I need to just say some words about this, just as a journal entry. Oh my God, it's all related. Like when I got on AOL, I met a man. We were just kids then. He was 22 and I was 18. And he was from he still lives there. He's from Southern California. Long story short, I quit that part-time job. I quit my full-time community college schooling right after my first midway through my first semester, and moved out there with him. He had visited me first. I had to make sure he wasn't all bonkers. I mean, it was the Wild West, but I'm not like unhinged. Anyway, so I moved out there, and then there was some homesickness and some like, who even am I? Where am I? This place is huge. I'm from small town, Midwest, USA, and I'm going to LA with somebody I met on the internet. AOL chat room, you guys. That may not mean anything to some of you, but some of you who remember those days would be like, you are unhinged. My family certainly thought I was, but there was something they knew not to get in my way. And it turned out amazing. Their family is still, I feel in my heart, my family, my adopted family. And they're in Southern California. They're not too far from those fires. So I sent out a text this morning to say, I'm sorry, I was living in a black hole of news. I just found out about these fires and the extent of them. And are you safe? Are you safe? And I know that even if you are safe, if there's no immediate threat, you still know people. Obviously, you still know people. And even if you don't know people, it's your home. That whole area is connected. These towns aren't spread out by space. LA doesn't have space. One town is like, you step over a line and you're into another town. And so, of course, it's all connected. Just like energy, like there's no barrier. There's empty space here. No, it's not empty space. It's full space. We just can't see all of the frequency. We just can't see all of the dials on the knob, We only see this spectrum. And so they feel like like, just because something's like in the mountains or like 2 towns away, that's close, man. That is close. And so, and I just heard from a client last night who has been watching the news, and she was describing the extent of the tragedy and devastation. And I was just like, whew. And so when I think about, like, yeah, we used to go to those places, like drive through them, and now they're just gone. Like, I can't even comprehend it. And so from that, my adopted family, my second family, to still be like there in it, and it's their home. They've literally lived there their entire lives. Like, there's no separation there. They know people. That's their heart, their home. The beauty of that place, like Malibu, Pacific Palisades, all of that, Pasadena, all of Tadena, all of the, just like the beautiful Southern California landscape is now changed forever. And I can't even fathom the extent of that. I can't even. Just like, if I just like send up a prayer, like, just take care of everyone and make sure they find safety, and like that ultimately when all this tragedy and the fire is like put out, like that they can once again find a sense of peace and belonging and home. Like, when your home is just gone, home is so important as humans, you know. It's like, it's our foundation, it's our root chakra, it's our sense of belonging. And when that is gone, it's like, remember how we were talking about the chakras, and like, if you've seen all the videos, like, you can move up, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You have to start at level 1 and build that up, and then you have the fortitude, capacity, just space to start to focus on the higher needs. I feel like it's that way with the chakras. So when you're torn right back down to the root, nothing else matters except for that. Like, you've got to find home, you've got to find safety, you know, preservation. And so all of us that aren't in that immediate experience, we still are up in some range of, like, from root to crown, you know, from base of that pyramid to the top of Maslow's. And it's like it's like that Course in Miracles. Maybe this is a reflection, like, to reach out and say, I temporarily have something that you temporarily don't. Here, let me give it freely of myself to you, and you can pick it up and take it if you want or not. And that's that miracle of, like, something coming into your sphere of awareness and support to boost you up at a time when you couldn't draw that in from your own manifestation, from your own doing, because we were taken right back down to somewhere lower than we were. And I'm not saying I'm presuming to know, like, everybody was taken lower. It's just that when you get a punch to the gut, it changes you in some way, even temporarily. You know, you lose your breath, you lose your footing, your sense of solid ground. And I just feel like, even if we all send up like a prayer of, like, I'm thinking about that alone and sending support to whoever needs it, the universe will take it and send it to where it's needed. You know, it will be the vehicle by which a miracle can happen. The Course in Miracles book talks about that. I think I paraphrased heavily. So I'm just gonna sit in some quiet about that, and keep reaching out to people as, you know, as I can today, and try to maybe tap into the news a little bit for the sake of others, like, understanding, you know, because, yeah, I've been in a black hole, and part of me has felt like you maybe went off the deep end with that. You shut out everything. Yeah, it was a political year. I shut out everything. I shut it out. I know how I feel. I know how I align. I didn't need the news trying to get in there and be like, beep, 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 working its little screwdrivers, tightening those nuts and bolts up to the point where I, like, can't breathe or think on my own. So I kept my screws a little loose. I'll just leave that there. Just leave it there. So anyway, I'm going to sit in some more reflection and just, be quiet. And thanks for just, if you're still there, thanks for listening. And yeah, just things that we were talking about this with my client, even if we both know people in Southern California, even if we don't know somebody who's personally having to evacuate, we still know that they're affected by people they know because that's their home. They've been there their entire lives. Of course they know people. Of course they're devastated by their land that's been devastated. Like I said, there are no boundaries. Boundaries are made up in city. There's no line literally on the ground that says, you are now in Pasadena. I mean, maybe there is these days. I have no idea. There's signs. Welcome. But it's nobody's stopping you at the border saying you can't come in, at least between cities, Now they are because you can't. They're evacuating. So it's but you know people, you know that land. You're affected by it even when you're not directly affected by it. Your heart's affected by it. And so our hearts go out to those people who we know and love because they know and love other people. It's like a chain. It's a Care Bear chain. Is that in the cartoon? Or am I making that up? A chain of caring, That's another thing from the olden days is a call chain when you each, if you're part of an organization or group of friends, or if I was in a sorority, that's a whole other story. Not a sorority in college, it was in my adulthood, and it was a friendship and service sorority. And I was the youngest by 40 years, But my grandma was in it, and it just gave me that sense of nostalgia. My grandma was in it in the 40s. And here I am in the 2010s after she's 25 years past away. And all these women knew her. I guess the story time is now. But anyway, they still had a call chain. So you're if there's news to be shared, this is related. It's about news. If there's news to be shared, that your placement in this chain of calling, the Care Bear chain, you're going to get a call from so-and-so, and then it's your job to turn around and call so-and-so. So it's a literal game of telephone. And not only do you call about the news, you probably sit there and chat a half hour on each end of that chain, and it's just beautiful. It's it was a call chain, and you knew where you are in the list, and it's you build up these relationships with these two on either side of you, and then they have a relationship with the two on either side of them, which you're one of, and it's just something, man, we should bring that back, bring back the call chain. Now it's social media, and you just blast it out there, and you think everybody gets the same message. Well, there's still their own interpretations. The message still doesn't quite land with everybody the way you intended. I don't know. There's something about that to reflect on. But the news, hearing news, and then it gets filtered in and then filtered out. That's something to do with why I had to do a complete blackout. The filtering of it in, the news's intention is the eyeballs are money. Eyeballs are money. Ears are money. They got to sensationalize things. They got to keep you riveted, because eyeballs are money. It's all about money, So I had to filter that out. You're not getting my eyeballs. These are sovereign eyeballs. You're not getting my eyeballs. You're not getting my ears. You're not getting my thoughts, more importantly. It's my head needs to be less in the grips. Those screws need to be loose. Loosened a little more. Got to grease the wheels. They've gotten too rigid in their way of operating. And so it's I had to undo a lot of that. I had to go cold turkey. And then it's I've got to find my balance. And now I'm getting there. I should probably go online, and I always pay attention when I say the should word. Like, I would like to go find more out about these fires. But honestly, like, I'm reaching out to my people. That's what matters. You know, what would be nice to know is exactly where the biggest threat of the fires are, and really, like, reach out to those people first if they're in harm's way. But honestly, I'm just going to reach out to people and make sure, like, are you okay? Is there anything I can do from 2,000 miles away? You know, and if there is, tell me. Oh, and so, yeah, sorry, I just got, like, all wrapped up in it again. With that news chain, like the filter, and then, like, when the intention of the eyeballs, like, we want your eyeballs, and then we're gonna, like, sensationalize things so that we get your eyeballs, and then I have a filter of that coming in, so I take it in a certain way, even if it was different than they intended, and, like, what is my filter doing to me even further? Like, if I believe a certain way, and then I take their information and, like, maybe skew it a certain way, and then because I'm in the grips of that emotion, because that's what news do, they get at your emotion because we're humans. Your eyeballs are what they get, and then they're like, grr, and then they got you in their grips. And then I turn around and I just got to let it out. I need an outlet for this. And then my output filter is like, bleh, onto some of my friends maybe, or on social media. Like, we've got to yell into the void. We've got to be heard. We've got to do something with this hard energy. It's hard to sit in the discomfort alone. That's what social media is. Let me share my discomfort with you. Okay, I temporarily feel better. And then you realize, didn't change anything, did it? You've got to keep trying to find a way to process, transmute this icky energy. Well, the only way is really to just sit with it and feel it in your body, and then realize it's not really here. And then go back to all 1 through 9 days of a lesson or a Course in Miracles. Yeah, that's the lesson here. I guess it all is the reflection. This little video journal is still the reflection on A Course in Miracles. Like, none of it is real and means anything. But your heart for wanting to reach out to people is real. Bye.
Hold still.
He's like,
who, me?